welcome to Grammar Weekly. This is where I answer those common grammar questions. This week's topic is thesis statements.
One of the major topics I always get asked about when tutoring is how to improve my thesis statement. So there are two kind of versions of thesis statements. There is the basic one, where it's just a 3-point thesis statement where you list each point that you have as a body paragraph. And then there are the more advanced ones where you have this kind of generalized idea and concept, and it allows you to expand it more past the 5-paragraph essay. So today I will be covering the basic 3-point thesis statement and how to get started to get your ideas on that paper and get a basic thesis statement written down. So when it comes to a basic 3-point thesis statement, you have point 1, point 2, and point 3. These will eventually become your individual body paragraphs. So this is good if you're just starting out in writing more academic papers and you're not used to, doing thesis statements. It helps to lay out your thought process in your argument. So the argument that I will be working with today for an example will be a standard one that you might come across in speech classes or debate classes. It's whether schools should have school uniforms or not. For the purpose of this example, I will be arguing against, so no school uniforms. So when looking at this, you're going to have to lay out each point. So one argument that I've seen is the fact that it restricts individuality. So our point 1 restricts individuality. Another point I have seen come across when it comes to this argument is that there is so much money that has to go into buying school uniforms, because it's not like you can buy a pair of jeans. It's something very strict. So that's another argument that I've seen. So cost too much money. Finally, another argument that I have seen is that because of how school uniforms can sometimes stand out, at the same time as kind of making students blend in, it makes it easier for targets to spot them. So for instance, if you're looking for someone who you think might be easier to scam or trick or con, something like that, if you see them wearing this uniform, that's more than likely someone who you would target. So that is another argument that I've actually seen. So makes students easier targets. So now what we're going to do is take these points and put them into a sentence, the thesis statement. So school uniforms should not be mandatory because they restrict individuality, cost too much money, and make the students easier targets. So here you can see we took those 3 points, we made it into one sentence. This is now your thesis statement. And it's a very basic one that lists what each paragraph will talk about in the order that they are going to go in. But it's a good start. Now we're going to move on to a second example this one occurs not with where you're arguing against something, but instead it explains something. So a common question that students have to write about that I help them with is, why did I choose this college? Why did I decide to go to this college? So let's write that question down. Now, normally kind of basic English students get this type of prompt, so we're going to again use the 3-point thesis statement. As you know, as the English classes advance, you use more and more of that advanced thesis statement that I will cover in the next video. So with this one, point 1 would be class size. Point 2, you might talk about the location, if it was closer to home or further away from home. And then point 3 would probably be the cost. That's always a big factor in what college you choose. So for this example, I'm going to choose University of Alabama. No particular reasons, it's just the first one that popped in my head. So with these type of essays, you might be able to get away with using the first person pronoun because you're talking about your individual choices. So you could start it off by saying, I chose the University of Alabama because of its large class sizes, ideal location, and affordable cost. So here, another thing you notice is with the points, yes, you can see each of the points in the thesis statement, but I also added adjectives to make the thesis statement more strong. So even if you do have a basic 3-point thesis statement, it doesn't just have to be point 1, point 2, point 3. Add a little flair to it by adding those adjectives. You can make it so much stronger by adding those adjectives and giving specific reasons instead of just saying location and then having to explain everything in that body paragraph. So I chose the University of North Alabama because it's large class sizes, ideal location, and affordable cost. That is one way you could write that thesis statement. Another way is university. The University of Alabama was a good choice because of its, and then we'll list the same points as we did in the previous one. But those are two different ways. The first way is if you're allowed to use first person language with this type of essay, and then the second way is if you can't. So here we are seeing a thesis statement where you're arguing against something, and then here is an example of where you're just explaining something. These are the two most common thesis statements you will come across when writing academically.
So that's this week's lesson. I hope I managed to answer any questions you might have had. If there are any topics you would like for me to cover, just let me know in the comment section below. Bye!